I've been picking up fragrance after fragrance because they keep dropping them. I mean, even I sometimes forget what I picked up. So let's look back at some of my most recent pickups.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern, niche, or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Let's talk about the most recent pickups I found or picked up. There's some cheapies, there's some niche, and even Middle Eastern niche. First one on this list is Creed Centaurus. So they just dropped the Delphinus and the Centaurus, and this one took the cake for me, at least in terms of which ones I was going to pick up first. This is a very balsamic, resinous, ambery, tobacco, and vanilla fragrance. As simple as that. It actually smells really damn good. Yes, it has certain vibes of other heavy tobacco fragrances like Carlisle, Red Tobacco, but it's got its own thing. It's definitely doing its own thing, and it has that Creed funk. This is a great one, honestly. I don't regret picking it up, and even for the price point, which I think is a pretty high premium, I got the longevity, I got the performance, and the performance being definitely above average. So I would say around the 8 to 10 hour mark, and the projection is actually moderate. It gave me about 2 to 3 feet, which in turn translated into compliments whenever people did smell me within those 2 to 3 feet. In terms of the occasions, I find this one to be most appropriate for special events, weddings, holidays, and even dates, or hanging out with the bros. So definitely decently versatile. And for the seasons, I would say that this is going to be the winter and the fall, and potentially spring nights, and that's pretty much it. My final thoughts on this one, the scent profile, I would personally give it like a 9 out of 10. It is a balsamic natured fragrance, so it's gonna throw people off or catch them right at that opening. So I personally love it. I love resins. I love that whole waxy vibe. So I would give this a 9 out of 10. I picked it up. I love it, and I would pick it up again. Another new one that I picked up more recently, I haven't really talked about much, is called Zumrud by Arabian Oud. And this is a vanilla balm-based fragrance. Vanilla, it also has a little bit of these aromatics, maybe some woods and ambroxan, spiced like cinnamon, and it actually reminds me a lot of Altair by PDM. Altair is one that's, this orange flower, cinnamon, vanilla, and that definitely has a very similar style DNA. I also find it close to Sened by Qissa Perfumes, which I picked up as well. And these actually have a little bit more focus on an aromatic nuance, something that might smell like patchouli in addition to that scent profile. In terms of the performance for this one, I will say that it is a pretty beastly fragrance. It lasted to the next day on clothing. And for the projection, it was a room filler. This is one that gave me more than 3 feet. For the occasions, I would say dates, special events, or even hanging out with the bros, not the gym, and I mean, everyday-esque potentially, but that's for the most part where I would keep it. For the seasons, everything but the summertime. The summertime, especially if it's high heat, it might not be the best thing to wear. So fall, winter, and the springtime. Final thoughts is that at this point, there are so many, DNAs that do the orange flower, vanilla, and some spices like cinnamon, ambroxan. I don't even feel like I would say that it's a clone anymore. That's how generic this, well, not generic, but that's how common it's becoming. But I will say that this isn't anything that I'm like, whoa, you have to have it, but it does still smell pretty damn good. Moving on to the next one, this is going to be the Burberry Heroes. I actually just picked these up not long ago, so it's not the newest thing on the market, but I picked them up relatively recently. I picked up the Parfum and the Eau de Parfum concentration, and I have to admit, I do enjoy the Eau de Parfum concentration more, or the scent in itself is actually different as well. So I enjoy this one more so than I do the Parfum. The reason being is that this one has a little bit more of a vanillic nature to it, coming from that benzoin. The undertone gives it a little bit of a sweetness, and the Parfum takes that away, giving it more of a lumberjack vibe. If you like piney fragrances with cedar, you're going to enjoy both of these. This one giving you more of a drier, more mature, style scent profile, and the resin that's in this one is less vanillic than something like the Eau de Parfum. I have to admit, I do get like this Stronger With You-esque style, family of fragrances. This doesn't necessarily smell like Stronger With You by any means, but it does place me in that vein, and that's why I fell in love with Burberry Hero Eau de Parfum. I think that this one is underrated, mass appealing, long lasting as well. In terms of the performance, I get above average. I get about 8 hours with this fragrance, which is still above average. And the projection, it is moderate, 2 to 3 feet, but that scent trail is everything, man. The scent trail for this one is phenomenal. I will say that the Parfum does last a little bit longer. The scent trail not really being as present, but the projection is moderate, closer to the 2 feet. For the occasions for Burberry Hero Eau de Parfum, I wanted to say every day, but it lacks just a little bit of freshness to be just there. With that being said, I still think it's pretty versatile, but for the most part, I'll stick to hanging out with the bros, going to the office, dates, special occasions, all but the gym. That's kind of where I'm like, you know what, I don't think I'd rock this to the gym. For the seasons, same case, man. It's almost everything, but that summertime, there are definitely better fragrances. So fall, winter, and the springtime. For the Parfum, this is where you're gonna start limiting it. I wouldn't recommend this for dates, the Parfum, just because there isn't any, inviting factors of sweetness. There isn't anything like that. Pretty dry and piney and woody. For the Parfum, it's gonna be with the bros and special events like holidays, festive vibes, basically. Simple as that. So it is more reserved. And For the seasons, it's gonna be the fall and the winter time only. I would not recommend wearing it during the spring. So if you asked me, I'm going for the eau de parfum all day. But these are both fragrances that I really didn't get into because of the price point. Like a lot of Burberry fragrances, you would see them getting discounted heavily. These really weren't that discounted, but now I can understand why. I was actually pretty impressed what I got with these in comparison to some of the earlier Burberry fragrances. I definitely enjoy these miles above some of their earlier releases. Burberry, Touch, that was a great fragrance. You can find it at discounters though, so I like $25. So when I saw these for like 60, 70 bucks, I was like, I think I'll wait, but they never did come down. And the whole indigo and all those fragrances they might be good, but these are better, at least for me. Another new fragrance, Spice Bomb Dark Leather. This smells like that Spice Bomb Extreme DNA, although no, real vanilla in the no breakdown, etc., except more matured. It actually adds a dark leather, a black leather. And what I think it is a combination of a synthetic leather. Obviously, there isn't a leather where they just juice into bottles. I see some ridiculous comments about exactly that. Anyway, what I would imagine is it's a leather mixed with maybe some incense, also some orris, giving it like this creamy texture and nature. Also that, it adds a little bit of this, style of Rudy undertone to it as well that I get from this fragrance, mixed with the very familiar Spice Bomb Extreme DNA. Those spices, the mass appeal just added with that leather vibe. I do get that orris or iris slight undertone of something kind of like Play-Doh or cosmetic. I love it. I think it's very, very addicting. So guys, if you enjoy that lipsticky iris, I'm not saying that this is like doused in it, but that leather does come with a little bit of that iris orris vibe. And that's why I think this is absolutely intoxicating. Obviously, as it starts to dry down, that kind of dwindles away and the leather starts to become more prominent. But I think it's a great fragrance. Jean-Christophe Hérault, the creator of Aventus, is also the perfumer behind this fragrance. And most of what this guy touches, man, I fall in love with, genuinely. So still getting that vanillic, mass appealing Spice Bomb Extreme, just doused in and matured up with that buttery style of dark leather. So let's talk about the performance then. It is above average in terms of longevity. I got about 7 hours. So it's in that middle above average. In terms of the projection, this is one where it was kind of moderate to low. I'll say moderate because it only gave me about 2 feet at best. Okay, the scent profile in itself though is ideally something that'll give you exactly that. Moving on to the occasions. This is one that I would wear to special events. I'd wear it hanging out with the bros, and I'd even wear it to dates. I wouldn't necessarily make this an office signature scent or a signature scent in general. It just exudes a little bit too much of a masculinity and a more specific leather note. For the seasons, I would personally say winter and fall only. Final thoughts on the fragrance is that it's performing the way that I feel the fragrance in itself is intended to. If you want something that's a little bit more projecting and in your face, get Spice Bomb Extreme. It's still great. It's not intended to overthrow it, but rather add that dark leather. I like it. I love the contrast. And if I'm going for close encounter style events, this is the one that I would rock. Now, I was thinking about whether or not I would signature scent this during the winter and the fall time because I have done that with Extreme, but I'll still stick to saying no, I would not signature scent this one just because it is more close encounter. And not only that, it just seems a bit more specific because of that leather, more seductive and reserved. Spice Bomb Extreme, you could signature scent that, man, for specifically the winter and fall time. For this one, I say it's a great fragrance. Just understand or have a more appropriate expectations based on the performances that I gave you. I don't regret it. I'd pick it up again and I think is a great fragrance. Moving on to the next one. This is called Crazy in Love by Montal. Crazy in Love, simple as this. It smells like saffron, rose, and maybe a little bit of the oud. It smells like Arabian's tonka that's been demasculinized, if you will. Okay, so it's kind of just taking away some of the harsh, rough edges around the oud, although the original is not really that rough or harsh. It does tone down some of the woody aspects. And I'll be honest, I still love it. I still, as a man, would rock this one, and I have rocked this one. It's still got this sugar vibe, rose, saffron. It's a beautiful fragrance, and I don't think it's redundant by any means to have both. Long story short, saffron, rose fragrance. In terms of the performance, this is a beast, 10+ hours. And for the projection, it is a room filler, so you have been warned. For the occasions, special occasions for this fragrance, man, and dates, I wouldn't personally recommend this for bros, gym, signature, none of that stuff. For the seasons, you could get away with this every single season except for the summertime. The summertime might come off a little bit cloying because of the brown sugar in this one, and it might just be doing a little bit too much. Final thoughts on this, it's not redundant. If you have Arabian's tonka, it does not have nearly as much of a woody dry down. I personally think that I'm only capturing the oud because I'm so used to that saffron, sugar, and rose combination, although the actual note breakdown doesn't list a note of oud. So I think it's more so placebo than anything. But in turn, what it is basically a more gender neutral style of Arabian's tonka. I think it's really damn good. Moving on to the next one. This is called Rems by Arabian Oud. My God, this bottle is so heavy. And it's got this cap that also weighs lays a brick. The performance of this is nuclear stuff, starting things right off. What this smells like is aquatic, fresh, slightly metallic. It reminds me a lot of Megamare. A lot of Megamare. Just beastly the out, man. This is ridiculous, man. Performance, beastly in both categories. Longevity, it's just beyond measuring, and projection also beyond. It's a room filler, man. It's high projection. Occasions, honestly, this is one where you can signature scent, but do spray appropriately depending on where you're going. Beast mode stuff, man. 4 sprays is like your cake. Seasons, every single season. My final thoughts on this one is that although it is another Megamare style fragrance, for the right price, I think it's great. The performance, the value for money, you're getting exactly that. Not much more to be said about this fragrance. It's aquatic, fresh. It literally smells like, you know, slight bits of woods with the sea. Simple as that. These next 2 fragrances are from the same brand, and it's Rawda. This is a little bit newer than my Lathani. I get a couple of different vibes from the fragrance. It's like this bakhur incense, basically, leather vibe, along with maybe some style of like passion fruit, but it's actually candied fruit from pear, and also a decent dose of musk and leather. This is a unisex fragrance, and it also is absolutely beast mode stuff. It does remind me of like Oud Marcuja meets like Imperial Valley, Helvetii leather style DNA. It's a really good one, and Ahmed al-Maghribi is one of those cheapy, middle price range, I would say, that give you niche quality stuff at a more affordable price tag. Phenomenal. In terms of the performance, beastly stuff. In terms of the projection, as I break bottle, it's also a room filler, you guys. In terms of the occasions, though, this is special events, dates if you're spraying it on appropriately, and hanging out with the bros as well, man. At seasons, I would say that this is fall and the winter time. It's so damn strong. Moving on to the next one is called Rawda. Now, Rawda is a definite feminine fragrance, okay? And what it reminds me of is bakhur. So very specifically, almost like this Somali bakhur, some florals, a lot of florals, Lilia the Valley, and in turn giving it this soapy vibe. So it's bakhur, which is incense that's lit up on charcoal, etc., with a soapy vibe. So you have to enjoy rose, Lilia the Valley, and that whole bakhur vibe. And nevertheless, it smells pretty damn expensive. In terms of the performance, nuclear across the boards for both genuinely. I personally love the incense vibe, but because of that soapy nature, I'm not the craziest about soapy. However, if you enjoy soapy and incensey, you're gonna really, this is one of the best in that classification, which is not that common, okay? Performance, like I said, is nuclear across the boards. In the occasions, this has the quality to smell like special occasions, and that's pretty much it, honestly. I would say that this is special occasion reserved. Seasons for this one will probably be best for the winter and the fall, just because it has this raunchy nature to it, almost like patchouli incense, but then it also has a little bit of a softness that'll be okay for the springtime as well, just not the summer. The rose, Lilia Valley, those vibes make it more easier to get away with during the springtime. Final thoughts on both of these fragrances. Ahmed al-Maghribi has some of the best quality for the price range, aside from a couple of these other brands that you guys know of through my channel if you've been rocking with me, like Fragrance World and other top tier players in the game right now. Definitely one of the best ones to check out, and the newest ones in my collection. Speaking of Fragrance World, this is called Amber Saffron, and one of the most unique fragrances by Fragrance World. This one takes me back. It takes me back to the days where my dad used to wear distilled oud, genuinely distilled oud, and then maybe spraying some kind of high quality saffron fragrance or something like that. And that's what this one smells like. It smells like my natural grade A saffron that I get from overseas, okay? I get this from overseas, from Persia or Iran, and that's what this recreates. So it has a lot more than just that. It has some spices, it has some oud, musk, patchouli, ambers. But if you like those vibes, if you're looking for like niche Middle Eastern incense, amber, saffron, and oud, this is so damn good. Projection and performance of this is going to be above average. Actually, it's a beast in terms of longevity, so 10 plus hours. However, the projection for this is about 2 to 3 feet, being closer to the 2 feet mark, leaving a bigger scent trail than that, but that's where we're gonna leave it. For the occasions, this is special occasions. I personally wear it to dates as well because it just smells like fucking money, bro. And that's pretty much it. For the seasons, winter and the fall time, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you ask me where I'm gonna wear it, so my final thoughts on this, that's a banger. I'd wear it all year round, but the most appropriate is going to be for those occasions. Now, if you're going indoors to a special event during the springtime and it's air conditioned, etc., needless to say, you could get away with that for most of the parts, for most of these fragrances, if you're in AC and climate control. But if you're just going about your day, those recommendations are pretty true. Final thoughts: for under $100, if it's at at that price point, I would buy it again. And speaking of buying it again, check the descriptions for the lowest prices on all these fragrances, you guys. You can save you some money by checking out any one of those links down below for the lowest and reputable, most importantly, reputable sources where you can find some of these. Moving on to the next one, this is called Island by Khadlej. This is kind of a clone of Le Beau Le Parfum, and it's actually the best one I find today, all right? And so basically what it smells like is a little bit of freshness at the top, giving you also coconut, warm, musky, and vanillic. It smells amazing. A part of the JPG lineup, I would say Le Beau is top 3 for me easily, and so immediately I gravitated towards this one. I've tried the Glacier fragrance by Maison Alhambra, and this one is miles above. It gave me easily 8 hours in terms of the performance, and for the projection, it's also a moderately projecting fragrance, 2 to 3 feet. I kid you not, I sprayed it like twice on my forearm just for testing purposes, and it was there all freaking day. And to get close around this point and I could smell it, that's a great performing fragrance. Now, in terms of how close it gets, I would say it's like 85%, dropping off basically those citruses at the top, not really getting that exactly. It's not exactly that. If you want Le Beau, you know, the exact, get the exact, but this is an excellent one for people on a budget. In terms of the occasions, this is everywhere, every time, and every season. So a signature scent easily. If you like more creamy and vanillic style fragrances, you definitely should grab that. For the price and everything considered, you can find this on Beauty House. Use AROMATIX to save some cash as well. It's absolutely worth it. And that's pretty much it for this one. Last but not least on this list is going to be Infinity by Montal. Now this one has a couple of notes like dark cherry. I believe there might be some tobacco, even some leather, oud. And if I'm not mistaken, which we're about to find out right now, it also has the note of plum. And yes, it does. Okay, cool. With some saffron, etc. And it actually smells pretty damn good. And I kept trying to think to myself, like, what does this remind me of a little bit? And it's not really anything. I don't think that this was inspired by or anything like that, but I get a couple different vibes of fragrances. I definitely get this Guerlain Ideal L'Homme Eau de Parfum, okay? And that's such an underrated fragrance, a bad boy leather, cherry, and tobacco fragrance. I definitely get that in this DNA. However, this one sparkles off a little bit more because of those pink peppers and the saffron. So yeah, man, if you like those vibes, the cherry vibes, it's a masculine cherry fragrance for men. If you like narcotic delight, you're gonna enjoy this one as well. So yeah, it's a really good one. And I don't think the hype train is caught up to this one yet, but I think it will. I definitely think it will. It's one of the best ones right now from Montal is Infinity. If you like narcotic delight, if you like Guerlain L'Homme Ideal, you should definitely get your nose on this one. In terms of the longevity, this is average. I got about 7 hours, nothing really more than that. For a Montal fragrance, that's not really that common, but there are a lot of rich ingredients in this one. And for the projection, it is also moderate, 2 feet, so on the lower end of the spectrum, at least for me. So it could potentially get better, who knows. For the occasions, this is like bros, this is dates, this is a special event, and not necessarily anything more than that. It just smells too high end, honestly. I think that a lot of people give it a little bit too much of a harsh rating in terms of, oh, it opens up synthetic. I love the way it opens. What, for like 2 seconds? It's fine. For the seasons, it's the winter and the fall time. That's what this one's gonna be most appropriate for. And honestly, even the spring. You can definitely get away with this in the spring. Final thoughts on this? I definitely think it's hype worthy. I just don't think it's caught on yet. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are some of the newest fragrances that I've accumulated in my collection. Some are actually really good, and some of which, you know, could have been better with performance, with maybe scent profiles, maybe some redundancies. I hope this helped you in any way. And if it did, show me by leaving a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.